Hey there. Are you in the stage of the breakup where you're moving through the stages of grief and you're crying again in the shower? Maybe you can't concentrate. Maybe you're totally a mess. You're putting on clothes with the wrong side out. Maybe you're having trouble getting out of bed and you still have to show up for work. So I probably don't need to tell you that you're in the sadness and depressive stage of grief, that we've been talking about in our series. And the main question is, when you have all of this pain and all of this heartache, how do you move through it so that you can get to the other side? You probably have tried stuffing it down. Maybe you're not eating, maybe you're eating too much, but we all know that those aren't necessarily patterns that help us to cope in a healthy way in the long term. So if you're relating to this right now, you probably have the feeling that everything is hitting at once. Maybe you're crying in the shower. Maybe you hear a song on the radio when you're driving in your car and you suddenly have a meltdown. Maybe you're in the grocery store and you see, a kind of yogurt that they like, and it causes you to suddenly lose it, in public. Maybe it's just random, movies that you watched on Netflix or something like that that gets suggested to you, and you suddenly, feel activated. So, are you feeling exhausted about this? I mean, because physically, this can really, really take a toll on us. And at this point, you might even be avoiding some of your friends because at the beginning of part of the breakup, maybe you relied on a lot of people, and now you're just starting to feel really, guilty about it, embarrassed that maybe you're not further along. So maybe you're kind of isolating yourself. Maybe you're even lying about how you are when people ask. So life can definitely feel heavier than it should at this point. And yet, we all have to keep moving. And the question is sometimes we just don't know how. So my name is Andrea Hunt, and I'm an EFT empowerment coach, and I'm based in Munich, Germany, but I have online workshops and private sessions online, help people navigate through the breakup, heal old belief wounds, and rebuild their confidence after something like this. So you can follow me on videos that have to do with breakup tips and advice. Solo travel after heartbreak and all the mistakes that I've made traveling so that you don't have to. So this is part 5 in the Real Stages of Heartbreak series that I have. So, are you noticing now that everything feels dull and maybe things that you used to enjoy just don't excite you anymore? You might be in the why bother kind of stage where nothing feels like it matters. And I totally get it. You might be stuck in this cycle of thinking, scrolling, just staring off into space. And remember that, like, you're not broken. This doesn't make you some kind of a weak person. This is totally normal in terms of the stages that we all end up having to go through. So please be kind and gentle to yourself and give yourself some compassion instead of judgment, because when this grief lands, in your heart, in your body, and your mind, it can feel like you just got hit by a freight train. And it can be exhausting, but this is all part of the process. And so the question is, what actions can you take? How can you help yourself to heal, to cope during this time, and to move out on the other side? So, have you tried EFT tapping, to help you move through the process? So it's a fantastic mind body tool, uses acupuncture points on the face, and it helps to release the pain, the sadness, the anger, the frustration, the heartbreak, and whatever negative emotions that we have coming up during this stage, where we just sometimes need to be able to calm down and ground ourselves. EFT tapping, of course, is super helpful for the belief wounding that happens with our confidence, with our self-esteem, especially if we weren't treated right. This can create a whole bunch of issues for us, trying to get back up, trying to get back out there, trying to show up at our job, for our family, for our friends, and everything like that. But at this stage of the sadness, it's important to be able to tap through this sadness so that we can release it bit by bit. If you think about kind of, a pot on the stove that where the flame is too high and the kettle is rattling the top, or sorry, the lid is rattling the top, and the EFT tapping helps it to kind of like release some of the steam bit by bit so that you can help process through this grief. Now, it's not a one and done. I mean, no one's going to lie, and nobody should tell you that one EFT tapping session and you're going to have your heartbreak and how many years with this person or whatever betrayal is going to be cured. That's not the way that it works. But what it helps you to do is heal yourself bit by bit, helping to release some of the sadness, frustration, anger, and all of those things. So if this resonated, go ahead and give me a comment below, and make sure to stay tuned for my next video that's coming up to see if it can help you through your heartbreak that you're going through right now. Also, don't forget that the holidays are a very difficult time for a lot of people, especially if you're going through a breakup, or maybe right now you can't break up until after the holidays because you have too many family things planned. It's a totally true situation that unfortunately a lot more people are in than they want to admit. So if you need any help over the holidays, please go ahead and book a call with me, and we can help you through some EFT tapping sessions so that you can feel grounded, more peaceful, more in control, and like you can show up the way that you need to be right now. And then we can start working on planning your 2026, picking yourself up, and planning out the next steps for you. Okay. See you guys next time.